What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Hollywood Already Did It, your movie podcast for reboots, remakes, sequels, and adaptations, and why we continue to go back to these things and tell these same stories in and out for years. As always, I am your host, Blake Schultz, and with me is Terrence Tatum.
Hello, everyone.
And this week we are talking about the numbering for this franchise gets weird because there's a movie that like tiptoes into it. Because like, do you count Curse of La Llorona as a Conjuring movie?
It's weird because it stopped showing. It used to show up on grids for anything in the Conjuring universe, and now because I think it's the only one that did really bad, they're kind of like, we won't talk about that one
And
anymore.
didn't they like add the post-credit scene or whatever it is, like after the movie to be like, ooh,
Yeah,
I hope come see it.
yeah.
Which doesn't feel like something you should be able to do when the premise of your franchise is these are the cases these people investigated. I feel like that's kind of like telling like that'd be like if Martin Scorsese at the end of like, I don't know, some fake gangster movie he made was like, Elliot Ness is here, guys. Like it
Yeah.
wouldn't quite work. But regardless, it's the sixth or the seventh one, however you're counting, of The Conjuring. Last Rites. Here we are. We are now at the final adventure of the Warrens, characters who I think
Yes.
now, if you're like familiar with all their controversy in real life, it's almost better to just be like, these are cinematic fake characters. It's almost better to treat them like Indiana Jones
Yeah, we don't
or
want to talk about that. But it's funny, it's hard to do that because they actively keep bringing them back up, like the real versions at the end of them. And it's that does a twofold part. One, you get to remember some of the just like, oh, these are not the best people. But then two, at least with Vera Farmiga, she sort of favors our Lorraine. But like Ed looks, Patrick Wilson and the real Ed Warren look absolutely nothing alike.
no, no. And it's I mean, you had texted me that it almost now feels like Insidious is part of this because he's doing the exact same thing in those
Yeah,
movies. And I was like, that's why I've been confused for years every time
yeah.
it comes up.
Like, why is he
It's
in two
finally
major franchises? Like that, he's hoarding them.
no. No, that's what they saw, and they were like, see, Robert Downey Jr. can play Doctor Doom in these movies, and it'll be fine.
No one will notice.
No one will notice anything. Everything will be okay. We'll all get over it. But apparently, these movies are incredibly popular. We were talking about this off the podcast a bit. People were bringing dolls to
Hmm.
theaters. You had people dress up as Annabelle. Like,
Yes.
I feel like I feel like this is the kind of thing that people should be concerned with when they're not. Like, whenever you see like controversy that's like, oh man, the whoever it is, the politicians or the church are furious at a movie, like when
This should be
Dogma
the
came
one.
out. I feel like it should be like we're very concerned about all of the children dressing up like the Annabelle doll and going to have a fun time at the movies. I'm concerned.
If no one
Like when
else
you had all
is,
those
I
clown
am.
pranks going on, like that
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
it's not
somehow this
okay.
became like the franchise. Like I think this is what Lionsgate sort of thought the Saws were, but they're just this has been doing it more consistently. Like, all right, we're going to do these little basics, even if the movies are bad. Like Annabelle, some of those Annabelle movies aren't good, but they still made money, and people kept coming back. Like the first one was bad, so bad that you thought no one's going to come back around to the next Annabelle, but they did.
People are scared of that little doll. There's this the one thing about the movies that is always effective, which I think it is twofold, is the it's a true story.
Hmm.
In we'll use air quotes or not, whatever. I don't need to get into a whole like, are the demons real?
Yeah.
Something we won't solve today. Uh, but the imagery is always effective. Like
Hmm.
Annabelle is creepy.
Cheers.
Uh, the basement of artifacts they have is creepy. The Nun is creepy. There's enough weird stuff in the movies that kind of keeps pulling you, and the math is there. And I think if you like the beats of
Yeah.
we're going to slow it down, have tension, something popped up. Oh no, what was it? Now something's crazy. Like if you enjoy the melody of these movies, the same way that if you enjoy slasher movies, it's like, yeah, they're going to kill these fucking people.
Right.
The same way I like the Saw movies, because I'm like, I want to see people get out of these weird, stupid traps.
Yeah, like you know the puzzle pieces, you know where everything goes. It's now just like, all right, what new sort of skin are you putting on all of this sort of kind of make me pretend that I'm seeing something new, but I'm still enjoying the ride and I know what I'm getting into. And that's pretty much what these films are. Like you know the nuts and bolts of all of these Conjuring movies. And I'm for the most part I'm fine with that. I mean, I think the third one sort of introducing the trial and court cases made it a little too slow and quasi a little too like let's blend in some of the real life facts that we have and kind of like, hey, I want to pretend this is more. I know this is based on something that's real, but I like to believe that it's more fictional, so I can see the film first. When you start doing law and courtrooms and facts and stuff, it gets a little bit more dicey. This one, I yes, you know the nuts and bolts. Like I think Conjuring sort of was the first film back in 2013, which sounds nuts that that was that long ago. But I think this is one of the franchises that uses space and darkness in space probably the best. Like this, they get it, they understand it, and they do that to a T here, where there's moments where you're like, hey, it looks like a photo of John Wayne, but was that like a something else standing there? And then you cut on the lights and it's not. It's, oh, still knocking it out. And for the most part, that still works. Like you hit those cues and those beats, and it still gives you the feeling that you want to have in those. And the audience, I was in a full house. That audience is still jumping and like as if they had never seen. You know what's happening. You get the notes in both of this. You know what this is. What I do like in this film, which is a little bit different, is that these guys, Ed and Lorraine, had sort of this was it. They were retired. They were kind of living off on a farm, if you will, kind of riding off into the sunset. Um, I do love that this takes place in '86, which kind of allows Ghostbusters Part One to have existed in the zeitgeist and sort of call them out on, hey, if you're going to be paranormal, be cool like the Ghostbusters as opposed to whatever it is you guys keep doing. I wish it leaned into that a little bit more and it didn't kind of just drop it at the beginning of the movie. But I like that they exist in a world where that's happened. And now people kind of like, we're not coming to your seminars anymore because we'd rather watch something more exciting like the Ghostbusters. Um, but I do love that they were retired and were going to stay retired. And I like that they didn't end up at this house with this family on their own. They were letting their old pastor friend went in there. He got killed and went was like, nope, we want no parts of that. The only reason that got them back to that place was because their daughter wound up there because of a whole thing that happened at the beginning and sort of tied it all together. So I like how that all sort of slow drop crumbs from the beginning. We get to see the actual birth of Judy at the very beginning to then coming through to she's seeing premonitions kind of like her mom was and how that it's getting heavier now because the mirror is back in play that it all started. So for that to be the reason why they get in this house, and then they're kind of like, look, I don't really want to be here, but now that we're here, and this is the very first one that we ever, this very first spirit that we ever went against, we got to kill this thing because it's not going to let us go because it wants our daughter. And so for that, it raised the stakes a little bit more because I feel like perhaps because I'm a black dude, but I always feel like Ed and Lorraine is walking to these houses to save these people. I'm like, why? You don't know these people. Why the hell are you always going to save these people? F them.
I
But
mean,
here, there's a little bit more reason to do so.
it's funny you say that though, because and this movie, it's filled with small moments that unfortunately completely took me out of the movie. There's so many just small, and I think part of it is that I saw it by myself. Part of it is that people in the theater wouldn't stop talking next to me, and part of it might just be that I just haven't really been that into this franchise as nearly the rest of America is. And now,
Right.
like a detective, I must understand why everyone loves this. Um, and I kind of get some of it, but like right away, we're like, it's 1963, it's the last case. She is not only is she 9 months pregnant, she is like starts delivering the baby. And
Hmm.
there's no like, oh my God, the doctor said we had more time and the demon did it or whatever. It is just like this was the day. And
Yeah.
like, I don't know enough about pregnancy in 2025. I certainly am not going to pretend to know a lot about it in 1963. I do know that they give you an estimated date. And I feel like if your whole job is doing like ghosts and possessions, and you are 9 months pregnant,
You're not going to put
don't
yourself
do
in a
it.
scary position where,
Don't do
like,
it.
you
it
were smart enough on the back end when he had a heart attack to be like, hey, you shouldn't be here because this is going to trigger
it
some stuff. That works the same when you're having a baby.
It was like maddening to me. I was like, this must be what it would be like to be saved by like a firefighter who's like giving birth while they pull you out. And you're like, I'm
Yeah.
happy you're pulling me out of the fire, but I feel like you have to go give this baby.
It's one
It's
of those
just
ones where they didn't give a clear time like date. And when they mentioned it in things like when did she do, it kind of was like a hurried up line that they didn't even give him a chance to answer. Where
today.
we could see that she was far enough along that she should not have this should not have still been the case.
Oh, they made it
Considering
Philip.
how much she gets thrown around. We've seen enough of these where they get thrown around and thrown this
That's
way and
also,
yeah.
I'm just going to say it, Terrence. Hauntings are no place for a baby. They are no place. And how is there not at least a moment where he's like, honey,
You
maybe
should
I'll
sit
go
this
into
one
this
out.
one?
Yeah, you should sit
Like,
this one out.
because I feel like, like heart attack plus newborn baby is a great reason to be like, we're done with ghosts.
Right.
Those are great reasons.
Yeah. And I get it
And
on the front
instead,
end where like with Ed, like on the back end where you're kind of like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore. And he still wants to do them. He still can like, I'm chomping at the bit, like, let me go. And Lorraine's like, honey, calm down, your heart. By the same token, that should have been the case when Judy was being born.
yeah, no, zero empathy for the pregnant woman. She's thrown in. Um, it was so vexing to me. I just was the minute she started being like, "Oh, I'm giving birth," I was like, "Why are you?"
Why are you here?
Because I know what you're thinking. I know you're like, I bet it was one of their best friends, and they were like, "I know you're pregnant, but it's an emergency." No, later they ask if they ever see the person that this case was for again, which, by the way, I don't think they solve because they rush her to the hospital and they just go, "Oh, we never followed up with."
Yeah, like
We
they bring
went
it
into
back.
the scary.
They bring her back up later when they finally see the mirror and realize what it is. They tell the new family like, yeah, so we just ran, we just dipped out of there. So
Yeah, we
I have
dipped out
no
of
idea if that
there.
woman's
She
okay.
gave birth. Our kid died, and then like got brought back to life. And then because that case was so irrelevant to us, we just never even asked if the woman,
We
if the
went on
small business owner was okay.
we went on to solve 1,000 other cases except that one.
That's another one that later in the movie took me out when he was like, we've done over 1,000 cases, and I was like, 1,000 cases? There's
In 20
300
in 20
days.
years.
There's 52 weeks in a year, 326 days. Like that's you've been doing this
That's
for
a
two.
lot.
That's 50 cases a year,
Also, I
which
just thought
is
about something.
like,
You also had to raise a kid. So it's not like you were taking Judy to all. So no, I call
no,
BS.
I don't buy it. I feel like, and I've never looked it up. I should have done it before this, and now I'm going to really quick because I feel like that number has to be like, you have to know it. We have to know how many cases.
I imagine in their
The
book they wrote they had to tell how many they actually did, and this was just an embellishment for theatrical purposes.
Okay, fair enough. If I do Google it, it says well over 10,000, which seems equally insane to me. Um,
Yeah,
like,
but it does sound like, especially in the coda that they give at the very end, it does sound like they started counting telephone conversations
oh yeah,
as
that's
that as
right. They were
well.
like, we stopped helping out, and instead people would be like,
We
hey, we're
stopped going
scared, and we would
because
like,
that
too
was
bad.
safer.
Oh, this was an option. We could have done this in
We could have all,
1964
I
with
could have just called it in all this time.
we could have done it by
We
like
should have done
carrier
that.
pigeon. We could have so many. It was right
Text me
away. It
what's
was.
going on, and I will text you what to say with the Bible in your hand. It'll be fine.
And then we'll get to the other one after I bring up the third thing that really took me out was the, what do they call it? The frosty penny cereal or whatever it
Oh,
was.
yeah, yeah.
I'm just gonna call them Pennywiseos, but I was just so irrationally mad that in this like supposedly real world, they're buying Pennywise cereal as if in this world the book would have had to have been so big to launch it because the movie wouldn't be out.
Yeah, when did
Tim
that
Curry
first
wouldn't be doing it.
it? Yeah, it's like when did that first It movie come out?
Why not? I think it was the 90s.
Because that's where it gets a little questionable because this is 86, I believe that they said that year was. And so like that math ain't doesn't math. But
1990, November 18th, 1990.
the book came out in 86. So
Yeah.
no one's reading that book and it becomes big enough
why
for
not?
the product to have a cereal line already.
And it's so like Warner Brothers owns both.
Oh yeah,
It was just so frustrating to
we
me.
have a Welcome to Dairy series coming soon. Wink, wink.
That's
Come
kind of
watch
how I
that.
felt. I was like, oh, we got to go pump up the other properties we have. And it's not like in the background where it's a
No,
fun Easter egg. It is
it's
fucking
front and center.
deadlock center. And
Yeah,
you can't look away from it. It's like impossible to get anywhere else.
yeah.
And I was just like, okay, why not? We now, because you're right. I love that we bring up the Ghostbusters. Because I immediately, when we saw that date, I didn't think Ghostbusters. I actually was like, oh, The Exorcist has come out.
Hmm.
And if you like know the history, and I don't know all the history of exorcisms, obviously, uh, but there's a spike of them being reported in the 70s, which is a direct correlation of the movie
Correct.
coming out. That like it's an interesting thing. So I was like, oh, I wonder if they're going to be like, oh, we're so busy because of The
Hmm.
Exorcist. And so I dug that there was now this like pop culture thing in it. I kind of also wish we had played that up more of like
Yeah.
no one cares and no one's listening. Because then we immediately spend the rest of the movie with this giant news case where people like really care about this family. And I was like, okay, so
And it's only crazy, like, and I get it, this is how the world works, but they are all in. Everybody is all in on this family. And then when the people who get there, who actually can solve this, get there, they're like, oh well, I'm out. Like you were here for days, and then the
days,
Warrens show up,
weeks,
who some
seemingly.
of you should know because they are popular enough, even though it's a different town. I get it because Pittsburgh, it's not where they're based at, but it's they're still known enough that when they walked up, someone in the camera crew was like, "Mr. Warren, Mrs. Warren." So they're in the zeitgeist. Why would you just leave? He's like, "Well, nothing to see here."
Oh, yeah, yeah, I think that I think that's indicative of my biggest problem with the movie, which was kind of the pace, because it really felt like two movies together. And I
That
get
is,
that there are
yeah.
people that are very invested in the Warrens, and it's they're watching these characters and they like their chemistry and all this jazz. I don't like them enough to watch this Nicholas Sparks movie unfold. Well, there's like a drama movie happening next door that keeps promising me ghosts
It's so
because like I have
funny.
to watch this family of eight deal with like their day.
Get
And
Yeah.
and what's bothering me about it is there's so good scares in it when they do the phone into the dark pantry
With
and it
the
gets
kids
pulled
running
in
around.
and
Yeah,
the
and then
lights and the that was
that's
like
brilliant.
expert
Yeah,
level
that's
camera work, direction, and like
yeah.
scaring. And we never ever do anything that clever again.
No,
We barely
you
ever do any more scares again.
you get a moment with the John Wayne poster in the I think in the basement that they it looks like it's eyes, and then they cut on the light, and it's clearly just a John Wayne poster. So you get maybe two of those total. The rest of them is like we're just going to fully show you the monster. We're going to show you Annabelle. We're going to show you the greatest hits of what we've done. Um, but yeah, to your point, it does. I think that is my one thing. I like this film. I think I like it more than you, but that is the one thing that I can say that I sort of, as I think about it more, I start having issues with it because there's literally two different films sort of pieced together. And I care enough about the Warrens, maybe because I like Vera Farmiga enough as an actress, and I really like the daughter that was playing Judy, that I was sort of invested in that relationship and what they were doing. But every time it would happen, I was like, we're so far away from, and I knew they were in different cities. I was like, we're so far away from getting them from point A to point C, getting them to this house. I don't know when this happens. And when we get there, it's rushed. It's like all of a sudden, boom, they're in Pittsburgh. Let's go.
And that's kind of my like the whole movie is set up, it's teed up with this is the case that makes them quit. And we spend two-thirds of the movie with like their daughter getting engaged and their daughter dealing with like whether or not she's psychic. She starts to see Annabelle sometimes, which I'm pretty sure breaks how that character
I
works, but I don't know the movies well enough to
Right,
be like, she's in the case, it shouldn't be happening.
right.
Um, and you're right. Then we just kind of run through the hits. And like I feel like Annabelle being there is them being like, people are coming to see this doll. We gotta like have her,
Hmm.
and then we gotta make her grow big.
I
Like,
rightfully expected either the Nun or Slender Man to show up because I was like, they're just spitting through. our greatest hits at this point.
I was surprised the Nun never should. Especially when you're like, this is the case that made him quit. I was like, well, then this is the Marvel Endgame where you
Right.
bring them all out. Like,
Correct.
why not? Why not have the
Yeah.
new guy, the new? I mean, I guess because it's real. That's why not. Um, but I was like, oh, this engaged guy, he's gonna go down there and do something. I also like that at their like barbecue, they're just casually like, oh no, you want to come down and see the horror dungeon? It's the house tour. Don't touch anything in here. And then like everyone he goes up to is like, oh yeah, I was possessed once. I've got a scar. And the priest there is just like, oh hey man, don't marry this daughter too soon. By the way, there's ghosts.
There's
And I
ghosts.
was like,
Yeah. Every
what a weird casual
his
like
birthday party is bizarre. He has a lot of people that have been involved in this before, and you're bringing in this new guy and just scaring the out of him.
everyone is just so
Just
nonchalantly like
casual about it.
there's been no trauma. Everyone's fine. They're just
My
like,
face is
yeah, man,
partially
I had a
removed.
demon once. It
It's
was
all good.
crazy.
Yeah. I was
They're
spitting
talking about
blood
it the
left
way
and
we
right.
talk about like Six Flags.
Spitting blood all day. It was a good time. I'm like,
And
what?
then he also kind of just vanishes. Like we have this whole arc with him of like earning the dad's respect, I guess. And then
Yeah.
tosses him the keys, like it's a car.
Welcome to the family.
Can't
Yeah.
stand it.
Yeah, we do
Oh,
lose him for a minute, and then because it's just weird because I think they realized that there wasn't any scares in the Warren family if they took her to do her dress shopping, and then they had a pretty. I like that mirror sequence. The mirror sequence
the
is
mirror one is
good,
fun.
but it's like we're still not. The Warrens are still not with the other family at this point, and so Tony is not a part of any of that. And Tony's the one person, to your point, that we as an audience kind of have to latch on to because he's the only one who's like, you're normal. At least in this moment, you are not like the rest of them and not sort of engulfed in this world. And his side story was pretty cool about him getting almost murdered, but like life, Final Destination him the opposite way and keeping him alive. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But we don't really go anything from that. And then we tortured the crap out of that man in that final sequence.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? We do the opposite with the other family, where we're like, this girl's going to be front row center. She's the main character. And I also really liked, and I wish we had almost seen more hauntings in there because I love the moment where she's like, this is happening to everybody. And she's like, but it's not happening to
Not
everybody the
happening.
same way. And
Right.
I was like, ooh, this is great. And then her dad immediately gets like
It's
strangled by a
right. And
ghost.
then the mom of the family, I think in the newscasting says all eight of us have had something happen. So they didn't show us all of them, but
Show me all eight.
exactly. They say we're then at the point where we're supposed to just believe it. Where I think if they showed us all eight, it would have obviously been a longer movie, but maybe you can cut down some of the Warrenisms where we don't have to see all of the family and kind of give us what we're all really here for, is to getting
I
them at
think
that house.
it really is like they made the inciting incident of the movie like Judy's origin and
Mhm.
seeing the ghost. They probably should have made it when the priest dies and get the agency to go help
Get
them
them there
sooner.
faster. Yeah.
Yeah, because like we spent all that time. He has to go on this like mini like exorcist
We
storyline
spend
where he has to
15
go
minutes
get
with him, which is great. We've seen this actor before in different films, but in this movie, if you're watching this movie for the first time and you're all of a sudden switch focus from neither the Warrens nor the family to just him, you're like, what? Why am I watching this guy?
and we kind of do the same. Like it's kind of played in these movies of like, well, I talked to the church didn't want me to help. I'm going to help anyways. And I'm like, we can just have him go help because I feel like
Yeah,
we always do these like, well, I spoke to the church and they don't want me to help, but they don't need to know I'm here. I'm like, then just go help.
yeah,
If you're
you're
going
gonna
to
do it
do it, whether
anyway.
or
You're
not
gonna
the
do it
church
anyway.
lets you.
Yeah.
And I liked his
Um,
death too, was also pretty good. But it's like these moments that are well executed are just spaced out by these long. I don't even know what they are, like side quests that I don't need to be on. Like, because it's not even this is like the 761, whichever. And so the world is built and established. I don't really need this new guy talking to all the NPCs at the barbecue.
Yeah, I think that's the weird thing is that they give us a new character to sort of latch onto to kind of like take us into this world. But the problem is we've been in this world for several movies now. And so this world is pretty built. I don't Just put them in. Just drop them in and
Yeah, just I want
let's
to
get
see them
go.
do cases. I don't need to be the normal guy looking at
Yeah,
that.
I could see that
But
because I will say, while I like the family, I was more engaged when we were at the house with the Smurls.
yeah, I'm always much more in these movies. I'm always much more engaged in whatever the mystery and the ghost is than I am
Yeah,
in their relationship.
because
Um,
even though it's a repetitive scene and I knew what she was getting at, the whole trying to stop the tape correctly at the scene with the ghost blowing the can like the spirit blowing the candle. I was like,
Whoa.
this is brilliant. I like this. This is
yeah,
great. More of this, please. Because this
yeah,
is
it was
where
another
you're
time where I was
getting
like, "Oh,
to.
this is fun! Like,
Yeah.
let's like all these very inventive, cool ways to scare." And then we kind of dropped all of it, and we're just like, guy with a hatchet. He's gonna. Then he
Yeah.
kills one of the other ghosts, and it's all very confusing. I should been
Yeah. They drop in the fact that there are three spirits in this house, in addition to the demon that is
in the
over the mirror.
mirror. Yeah.
And none of that really gets resolved. It seems like when they got rid of the demon, they kind of got rid of everything. But then
Well,
it's
they
weird because is Annabelle one of the spirits that is there? Or is she
yeah, because
manifesting in
she
a way
showed
that's
up there
differently?
for a hot
Right.
minute.
Right.
Like they're yeah, they have a weird line where she's like, "There's spirits here. The demons making them act weird." It was this old man who like went crazy and killed his like wife and whoever else.
Hmm.
So when he kills the other ghost, a part of me was like, "Oh, we're playing out the
The
history.
history of
We're
what happened
seeing what
here. Right.
happened."
Yeah.
It also is a little confusing because then you're like, "Well, shouldn't isn't the demon messing this up though?" And all of them should be doing scary things to get
Yeah.
the girl that it wants. And
It's it's
also,
it's also very clear because they just downright stopped torturing the Smurls. That the second the Warrens are in that house, the Smurls could leave and be perfectly fine because the house stops torturing the demon stops torturing them. Like they're fine. And
yeah,
so it
it
would be a good
very.
idea for the Warrens to just be like, they want my daughter. You guys can leave. You guys are safe. Get out.
I also had that thought because when he was like, the dad will help me move the scary mirror, I
I'm
was like,
like, why are you keeping him around? You should reverse that.
yeah. As soon as you
Especially
learned,
that part upset me. That was the one part that took me out of the movie because I was like, have him go get the key. Take the young buck to help you move the mirror down the stairs. Why are you taking this guy?
so, yeah, it's like I said, there's just so many small like logic pieces that you're like, you guys have been doing this is your 10,000th case or whatever.
You took the guy who was just a cop and said, go get the car. Don't help me bring this massive mirror down the stairs.
I know who will help me. This elderly man who's been tortured by a ghost. Surely he
Sure.
can do it. Why not? Uh, but it's interesting because for all of my grievances with the movie, for all of my like, I don't know if this is going to do well. The last one wasn't great. All of this, this is now the like what fourth highest opening for a horror movie. End of sentence.
Yeah,
We're
they
at
stop there.
$83 million, third biggest opening ever. It breaks franchise records. It allows Warner Brothers to get to $3.77 billion for the year. Uh, it's getting reviewed decently by fans, and I think critics are kind of more where I'm at with like
Yeah,
56 on Rotten Tomatoes,
correct.
and fans are at 79. So like, why? Why do you think this
And I think
is
it's important.
so?
We said 83 in the States. It's at 187 worldwide, which how is
Yeah,
this movie doing that well elsewhere is mind-boggling to me.
it is. So I think that there's a few things that are interesting, right? Like I think the first one for this movie specifically in this franchise is that it's billed as the last one.
Yes,
Um, Whether or not that's true, who
the way
knows?
this
Look at the
money is
money.
happening, probably
Yeah,
not.
people like money. Um, I think there's always something about there's always something about the occult. We know everyone loves their serial killer podcasts and their exorcism podcasts and their horror movies and
Crime stories, stuff. Yeah.
crime stories, all of it. There's a fascination with that. There's a fascination with the true story part of it.
Hmm.
Um, but it's interesting that this has become the MCU of horror movies. Like this is really now like I can't think of any other successful franchise examples because like the Dark Universe tried it.
Didn't work.
Um,
Yeah.
didn't yeah, I guess I can't outside of that even I can't think of too much. But it's just very interesting. Is it just the chemistry of these two lead actors and these creepy images and the fact that this is all based on something true? Is it that simple?
I
Or
feel
is
like the
there
true,
more?
yeah, I feel like the true story aspect helps this out quite a bit. But I feel like they somehow managed to just keep coming up with iconic like visuals consistently. Like Annabelle is a fixture now in horror. The Nun, the images of the Nun is a fixture now. Seeing when you see Patrick Wilson and Vera together, you're like, oh, I want to be wherever they're at because I know what I'm getting. Um, and it just sort of for as long because this is a decade plus, this is 12 years of a series, and the audience has not dipped at all. Whereas typically when you have these after installments, after a while, you're going to see some sort of a drop off. And these have kind of been consistent all the way through. No matter what the sort of return factor is on how good the film is received, the box office has been, they've at least tripled their numbers almost every single time, which is just, that's unheard of with
It's
how long
crazy.
they've been doing this. Yeah.
And there is something to it too, I think. Like we often talk about the themes and like why it's relevant to today. And all of these movies where it's different than a lot of other horror movies that go on this long. Like I would use Saw or Halloween or even Scream as examples
Hmm.
of like Saw was about, you know, karma in a weird way or finding justice in a weird way. But by the fourth one, it was just like kill the people in weird ways. Um, these have always kind of come back to family, faith. There's it hasn't ever really lost, even when it doesn't work. Like the third Conjuring movie, I think most of us kind of agree isn't their best, but
Yeah.
that movie still comes back to the idea of faith and the idea of like finding justice and the idea of figuring out what this is instead of just being like jump scare, jump scare, jump scare, jump scare, bye.
Hmm.
The Nun and the Nun 2 are constantly deal heavily with like this is happening at a church where everyone's supposed to be safe. This movie comes back to family and friendship and trust and like believing in these other people to be able to do things. We have to believe in the fiance to handle it. We have to
Right.
believe that Judy can handle her visions, which I think helps the characters. Like it's the thing we do talk about with Marvel movies when we're like, well, it comes back to these characters and what they're going through that kind of separates it from what used to be the DCEU or what used to be like the bad X-Men movies.
Yeah, I think that's why the family part for me did work, even though I wanted to get to the haunted house. The family part worked because as a person being a part of a family, being a parent, it kind of is like, oh, I can attach to this, and you start caring about these characters. Like I do want their daughter to be okay, despite how the pregnancy happened. But I do care about these folks, and I've been here now long enough that if this is the last one, if something is to happen to him, I'm on the edge of my seat to make sure that they get out of this okay.
Right. Yeah. There's also that where it's like once it's the last one, you're like, well, anything's up.
Right.
Um, I guess unless you know the history and you know when they both
You
die.
know when
And
they actually die, which you get at the end of
yeah.
this, but like if you don't look it up beforehand, you can kind of go in like but yeah, to your point, if you have studied this, you can be like, well, they're gonna both be fine.
I think it's
Everybody's
part of
gonna be
why
fine.
that third one doesn't work. Because you're like, well, are they going to prove that ghosts exist or is this kid going to go to
Or is,
prison? Oh, he's going to go to prison.
I think prison's gonna happen.
Not enough people are running around being like, hey, remember that important court case when we started believing ghosts as a society, collectively without any dispute? Oh,
Yeah.
you don't? That's because that kid's in prison.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's funny how effectively. So I'm sure that there will be more Annabelles. I'm sure. Well, and you know who knows? Now Matt Rife owns it with these other comedians. We could have a whole new terrible onslaught of.
Yeah, I do definitely because we just keep seeing that basement and all those artifacts. They can make a spin-off or movie off of any of those
I
artifacts and just do whatever the hell they want to out of that room.
There are still so many that when they walk around, I'm like, well, I wonder what that is. I wonder what
Yeah,
that
what is
is. I
that?
wonder what
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah.
Uh, so they definitely, I mean, forever, like, and just go back to Amityville and make those again if they
Yeah.
really want to, because that was one of their big cases. But it might be the sign off for them. But we'll see him in Insidious, presumably.
Patrick Wilson's like, I'm going to do all of the horror movies. Give them all to me.
Crazy, absolutely insane.
Yeah.
That's no, it's an interesting franchise. I really was not expecting this weekend, especially when I think both of us, when we were getting tickets, were like, it's so easy to find
I was
them.
easy to move around, and then all of a sudden I get to the theater and I'm like, what, where did you guys come from? Like, what is happening? Maybe people are just kind of waiting to the last minute. I don't know, because it's happening again with like the last walk tickets that I have. The theater right now looks completely empty, but those scores are so high that I feel like that's going to change as the week goes along.
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially now. I mean, it is the start of Halloween.
We're in the Halloween season.
The
Yeah.
summer's ended. It's
Yeah.
time. But that's our show, everybody. Thank you for coming along with us. You can leave a review or a comment if you're watching on YouTube, which is Hollywood Already Did It, where Terrence also does the TV show reviews and trailer reactions. And we're on TikTok and Twitter and all those good things at Hollywood ADI. I'm at, as always, Blake, and Terrence is at Terrence Tatum.
Later.